Over to you.
Thank you all for joining today. So we will continue our discussion of the Discover Yourself course. We began a couple of weeks ago. We discussed the game of life, and then last week we discussed about self, discover your true self. From the last session, we all learned about the real person who is driving this material body, and that is soul. We learned many concepts about, scientifically also we have seen through our observation as well as, scientific observations, we have seen, understood the concept. So now in this week, we are going to cover the ultimate genius behind everything. So if you all, just observe this world around us, there are clouds showering, sun is shining, grains are growing, flowers are blooming, fruits are ripening, and mountains which are full of minerals. All these things are happening, but in all of this, what is our role? We are just mere observers. We are not making sunset. We are not, bringing the rains. We are not ripening the fruits. We are not doing any of this, but there is an active universe we are seeing in this existence. And we are not only the cause of any of this, neither we are also totally dependent on this. For example, without sunshine, can we all live? We cannot live. Without water, rainfall, we cannot live. Without grains, we cannot sustain. So we are not only mere observers in this existence of all the phenomena that is going around us, we are also dependent totally on this. So without gold, silver, diamond, we cannot live. So none of this is created by us, but all of us use it, benefit from it, and merely we are just observers in this whole thing. We see that seasons change, right, all the time, and there is a perfect harmony. The way the day happens, it's exactly 24 hours every single day, all through your lifetime, as if it is, perfectly organized by somebody. So one time, one Swami, his name is Srila Prabhupada, he took his disciples to, he was just walking around and he found two homes. One home was very clean, very, spick and span. It has very trimmed garden. The floor is clean. Everything was kept in place. There is light. There is flowers and everything maintained nicely. And there is another home just adjacent to that, which is totally unkempt. Very, there is no garden maintained. Glass is broken. Floor is full of, things that are spread out. So, to his disciples, the Guru asked, "What do you see as the difference between the two homes?" Immediately, the disciple told, "Swami, the first home was there is a living person there, and he is maintaining the home. In the second home, where it's abandoned home, nobody is maintaining. There is no life." So similarly, if then he asked, in this universe, you see, these rains coming in time, sun shining at the appropriate time, seasons moving, seasons continuously changing. Do you think this is a lively universe or a dead universe? Everybody said it is a lively universe. So from our own observation, we can see there are so many things happening around us. So we are in a lively universe. So, but who is making it lively? That is the question we can ask, right? Uh, so, for example, if suppose you have some iron filings, okay, there are iron filings on a paper, on a sheet of paper, and underneath you have a magnet, and you move the magnet underneath, you see that the iron filings on the top also move along, right? So similarly, we see a lot of movement in this universe, which, for which we are just observers. We are not the, persons behind it, but there is an unseen behind the scenes, uh, you know, source that is actually orchestrating all of this in an orderly fashion. That is through our observations we can see. A small boy may not realize, for example, a small boy sees a puppet show, right? He sees how puppet is talking nicely with his master. The small child may think, oh, nobody is there behind this, puppet is talking. That's how he may think. But as grown up adults, we can clearly see that behind the puppet there is the hand movement of the puppeteer, who is orchestrating the whole movement, making us believe that actually the puppet is speaking, puppet is talking, puppet is expressing. So in this way, we, as if we question what is going behind, how all of this thing is organized so harmoniously in this existence, right? Whether it is seasons, or we all depend on food. Food is available every season. As soon as mother has a child, there is milk. Until then, there is no milk in the mother, and afterwards also there is no milk. But when the child is there, immediately there is milk. So there is an unknown, unplanned. We didn't do any of this. It's all arranged. Our food, air, everything around, all the orchestration that we see around is all arranged. Yeah, slides I'm not moving yet. I'll move after some time. I'm just setting the context. So in the universe, if you look at the definition of cosmos, the word cosmos, it is mentioned as a harmonious, systematic, orderly universe. So we all can, from our own observation, see the harmony and systematic arrangement within this universe, right? It is not definitely organized by human beings. It is organized by greater intelligence. There is a higher intelligence behind this universe. So now this today's session is about understanding through a scientific lens about the mastermind behind this mysterious universe. So the goal of the session is, by observing the world around us scientifically, we can see the hand of supreme intelligent designer. We can all see that. So there are, in the scientific community, there are a dozen ways to establish a great designer behind approach. So there is teleological approach, genealogical approach, cosmological approach, just like how we have a father and my father has a father, father has a father, father. So if you go back, who is the source of the original father? So there are many ways, like there is ontological approach. So in this session, we will stick to teleological approach, which is also called intelligent design behind all the existence. So today's agenda will cover how through our own observations we can learn about this, the God, the mysterious mind behind all of this. And we also will look at scientific observations. We'll have a couple of questions, some activity, and understand what is our prime duty by understanding all of this. So we'll do that. Yeah. So all of us, so looking at all of this, wonders around us, we may get a question: is there any controller behind? Is there a orchestrator behind all of this? Hmm? Just like the soul is behind this, physical material body, behind the cosmos, is there any supernatural being that is actually managing and maintaining in an orderly fashion all the existence that we are observing? For example, we all know when a scientist launch a satellite into the space, right? They control through a satellite room. They don't just let it stay around and function on its own. But in this cosmological order, we see solar system, which has been orchestrated for millennia in a very orderly fashion. There are these 9 planets in solar system that move around the sun at exact precision, and there is no collision for so many years. Could there be a supernatural power that is actually managing all of this existence? So who creates this? Who creates and maintains this beautiful and harmonious universe that we uh, observe? So we'll learn through some examples through our own observations. We call it A, B, C, D, E, F. Yeah. So let's through these examples we see how we can understand the power behind all of this existence. So the first is artistry. So you see, all of you, there are these great pictures. So when you see this picture, Leonardo da Vinci's, the Mona Lisa picture, what is the first question you get when you see a picture like this? This picture of nature, for example, mountains. Immediately, as soon as you see these world-renowned paintings, the first question we ask is, who is the painter? Right? We want to know who is the painter behind it. So what about when you see a picture like this? These are real nature. These are natural arrangements. These are true pictures, right? True personalities, and are they true flowers, true rainfall, waterfalls, true mountains? So who is? So when we see the picture before, we ask the question, who is the painter? But what about this? Who is the creator of all of this existence, right? So we have to ask that question. Now let's see a picture here. What do you see here? You see a paper made picture, right? So there is so this girl, she has a scissor and a bunch of papers which are painted in red and green, and using her artistry, the skill of cutting nicely, not everybody can do. She has that 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 skill and the artistry to actually cut into this beautiful look-alike of a rose picture through material of this world, right? So when we see this, we can clearly see that there is a person who is actually building this, correct? There is an artist behind this artistry, or artist. But what about a beautiful rose we see here? It has a much smoother texture. There is, it has more characteristics than the paper rose we see here. It has pollen, which can again spread it in, which can, pollinate. There is honey, and it also has fragrance, which doesn't exist in a paper rose. It has far more characteristics than a man-made paper rose. But who is behind this? There must be some design. Why would it become so beautiful like this, right? So we should ask. So when we see a beautiful things in nature like this, we should get a question: who is the person who has painted this, right? So artistry implies there is a great artist behind. Yeah. You see bees
Bees
here.
are called social insects because they live and work together as a community. Thousands of female bees, called worker bees, live together in a hive with a queen bee. The queen bee was marked with a red dot, so we can see her better. The worker bees are all females, but they almost never lay eggs. Worker bees do almost all the chores in the hive. They gather pollen or nectar, guard the entrance, clean the hive, build the comb, make honey, tend the queen, and feed the larvae. They even fan the hive with their wings to keep it cool on a hot summer day.
So you can see the organization of honeybees here, right? So there are at least a dozen activities that bees are doing, but who is giving them the intelligence to do it? Intelligence to organize so well, behind this queen bee, so many uh, bees are, very intelligently organized here, right? So the fact is God is giving the intelligence to be able to organize, be it, we'll see, we have seen a honeybee. Now let's see a spider, right?
Mathematician spiders. Compared to their own sizes, spiders build very large webs. Indeed, if we enlarged a spider to the size of a human being, the length of the web it weaves would be approximately 150 meters, which corresponds to a 50-story skyscraper. Is it possible for a human being to weave a lacework the size of a 50-story skyscraper in only an hour? But a tiny spider accomplishes much more than that. Moreover, the spider-woven web is the sturdiest material in the world. How do spiders weave these webs possessing miraculous features? The spider takes into consideration many factors while weaving a web hundreds of times larger than its own size. This task demands at least some calculations essential in constructing a building. For the accomplishment of this work, first the spider must draw a project like an architect, for a construction of this size, design, and sturdiness cannot be accomplished without an architectural project. Once the project is drawn, the spider must calculate the lifting capacity of each part of the web like an engineer. Otherwise, the web cannot remain suspended. In order to design such a web and make such delicate calculations, the spider must be more qualified than a college graduate. Indeed, there is not a university that provides education to the offspring. Following their birth, they begin to produce silk, weave web.
You can see here, right? There is so much organization. Who is giving them the intelligence to be able to organize so well, right? Yeah. Beautiful organization. When we can see that there is a organizer behind it. So like this, let's see a few things we create, right? Human beings have created, right? So you see a sleek car here. When you see a car like this, there is a BMW or some company who manufactured it. So the wonderful things that are created by man, like a car or a aeroplane, or a bicycle, whatever, a computer, right? Someone must have assembled. So there is a beautiful watch here. When we see that, we don't say, hey, it came by chance and elements have mixed it together and they are orchestrated in this way. There are architectural marvels we can see, but it was erected by somebody. It's not a mere coincidence. See skyscraper buildings here. Someone built it. sculptures. Someone carved it. So there is a person behind everything we see. There is a purpose and there is a person behind everything that we see. Shouldn't this universe have a super intelligent creator too, based on all the observations we are making here? Yeah. So a creation implies a creator behind it, right? So nothing in existence comes out of nowhere. So there must be a creator behind every creation we see. For example, you see, this is a seed called sequoia seed. Sequoia is a very small seed of 1.5 centimeters size, very small, 1.5 centimeters. But in this seed, there is the giant tree that is the largest tree ever existed. You see the picture. So this is the sequoia tree. Now let's see some of the measures of this. Some of the so who gave the potency in this small seed to to grow into such a huge tree? And we are just watching it grow. We are not the ones to behind this. So compare a human being behind on the side of this sequoia tree. So it's 84 meters high and 29 meters in diameter. And all of this came from 1.5 centimeters of sequoia tree. Yeah. Even cars can go in between the tree. So this is the size compared to a space shuttle or even Statue of Liberty, almost the same size. And a blue whale is nothing compared to this tree. So you can see, so there is a wonderful design behind all of this. Yeah. So you see a computer memory chip, for example. It can store a lot of data, but we know it is designed by a company by the name Intel. What about human brain? Right? Human brain can store more information than all the libraries in the world put together. So how is that possible? Who designed this brain? Okay. See, the brain is so amazing. And each of the cell in our body, the scientists say that is more complex than entire New York City, right? With all its various systems. So who is behind all of this? Can it just come out of chance with no purpose? Yeah. So now we have seen the macro world. Let's go and see some of the facts of the micro world. Okay, sorry. Yeah. You see here DNA. So it is so complex. It has 46 human chromosomes. The length is 2 meters, and so all these facts are given here. It's a very complex structure that your whole gene history is stored in these DNA molecules. Yeah. All the atoms follow a fixed structure called Bravais lattice structure. They're all, there are like simple cubic, body-centered cubic, face-centered cubic, simple orthomorphic. So, and everything falls within these 14 structures only. So there is a perfect structure behind everything we see in nature. This is the atomic structure. So that everything within this existence follows. So there is a pattern behind everything. It's not just random existence. Right? So you see graphite. A slight molecular change makes it diamond. Graphite is the softest element, softest material. Diamond is the hardest material. A slight molecular adjustment makes it into a the toughest element ever existed. Right? So there is a meticulous design behind all the things that exist, even in the micro world. Like I discussed before. So even to maintain a satellite, round-the-clock monitoring exists, right? We all run cloud services, for example. There is a continuous monitoring for the health of the cloud services. Similarly, a satellite suspended in the sky has to be continuously monitored whether it is in the proper orbit. There are, these are all many parameters that are whether orientation is right, spin is correct, velocity is proper, whether orbit decay corrections are going fine, radiation is good, is the heat dissipation affecting the movement, is the distance appropriate or should we move it around. So all these critical parameters are monitored by several people who are in charge of various departments, even for a single satellite. Now, what about all this cosmological planetary system that we see in solar system? There are, you see here, yeah, all of these departments to monitor a human-made satellite. What about the Earth that is almost 6 multiplied by 10 to the power of 21 metric tons in weight? Who is maintaining the orbit of the Earth in perfect order? Not only Earth, all the other 9 planets, and they're all moving around the the biggest planet called Sun, right? When you compare Sun to the size of Earth, it's minuscule, and Earth is moving at a speed of 106,000 kilometers per hour. Precisely, that's the speed it maintains all the time, as if somebody put it in motion. How is all of this is being orchestrated, and how is this maintained without any like deviation? And we never hear about planets crashing, although there is always some fear mongered by scientists here and there about asteroid crashes. But overall, there is a perfect harmony, right, that exists in the universe. NASA is not controlling it, right? If traffic policeman controls the signals of traffic, who controls the traffic of revolving planets? One can ask. So marvelous designs we exist in nature. So you can ask for yourself, has any design come by chance on its own in your own observation? For example, there is a car manufacturing company. The raw material is minerals and glass and engineering brains and machinery to produce the car. And they also need rubber for tires, glass, iron, steel, all these materials are needed. But everyone agrees there is a designer, that spent his toil to build this beautiful car from materials, right? So we can never say there is no designer behind this. But who is the designer behind this, enormously intelligent human brain, or all the natural things we see around us about the movement of planets or whatever, right? So many things are the arrangement of food. Who is arranging food for us? If there is no food anymore from tomorrow, how do we survive? And it is continuously being there for millennia. Your grandfathers had food, you have food, your future generations will have food. There is a perfect arrangement for all of this, right? And Earth, as we discussed, moves with perfect precision, right? At exactly 365 days, 365.256. That's the exact time it takes for 1 year, in 1 year for Earth to move around the sun, right? So it is so precise to the decimal. Nobody, NASA is not controlling. Who is controlling it then, right? So let's get this. Yeah. Look at sun, right? Sun is just one great planet. It gives unlimited heat and light, right? So some of the metrics are given here. Sun is almost 1.3 million Earths can fit into one sun. So that's the size of sun. And without sun's light and heat, we cannot sustain our life, right? Energy carried by so if, for example, somebody throws a stone at your computer. Let me show you the picture. Yeah. So let's first see about some of the facts about the sun, and then I'll discuss about the energy of the sun. See here, so many wonderful facts. Yeah. So the energy emitted by sun per second can, is equivalent to amount of energy consumed by human race throughout its entire history. That's the amount of energy sun emits per second. But who is the source behind sun's energy? Who is there somebody behind? If somebody throws a stone on a window or a laptop, right? Immediately you ask, hey, who supplied the energy to the stone? You will look for who threw the stone. Somebody's, was the person behind the stone, the force at which it came and hit your monitor. So then who is the source of energy for sun? We can ask like that, right? So behind energy, there is an energetic person. There must be an energy source. Yeah. So look around us. We see, for example, there are perfect laws. For example, a college starts at a specific time, right? Who made the law? The principal. And there are traffic laws. For example, in India, the driver is to the left. Or in America, the driver is to the right. Who made the law? The traffic system. There is a traffic police, and the overall traffic laws of the country determine how we drive, right? If you don't follow, we'll be punished, right? So there are laws. Whenever you see laws in existence, you immediately understand that there is a lawmaker. Without a lawmaker, there is no laws. So how many, for example, in the game of cricket, how many overs should be played in a one-day international match, right? So it's fixed by these rules are governed by the Cricket Council, right? So how many players should be in one team, or how many ways a bat can be out, a batsman can be out. So there are specific rules that govern the game. And behind the rules, there is a person or the council behind making all these rules, right? Yeah. But in the nature, we see this periodic table of elements which all follow precise laws, right? So all these arrangements follow perfect law called periodic law. It's not a chance thing. So there is a perfect arrangement for all these periodic elements. So when apple fell, right, Newton asked why this apple fell down. And then through his discovery, it's called Newton's law, he discovered the law of gravity. It's called law of gravity. It means, what does it indicate? There must be a lawmaker who made the law of gravity that's so perfect all the time, right? So we saw so far so many laws like cricket or school timing or anything we see, there is a lawmaker or the person behind it. So who made the laws that we see in the nature, right? There are so many laws. Now let's see some of those, right? You see, laws of physics. We all learn about F equal to ma. If suppose somebody kicks a football, there are forces of air resistance and gravity. Gravity keeps pulling down. Air resistance also, stops the flow of the ball. So with all of these factors in place, we can deterministically tell where the ball falls on the path forward, right? When somebody kicks it with it. So based on the force that is kicked, you can, and the gravity and air resistance, you can tell exactly where the ball falls. So there are precise laws of physics in action. So this is laws of optics. We all see, right? So precise laws. Laws of thermodynamics. So there are laws in the micro world. There are laws at macro world. So these flawless laws imply a lawmaker behind all of this. See, we see in this world, there are people who are beautiful, there are people who are ugly, there are people who are handsome, not so handsome, people who are very rich, some are poverty stricken, somebody is a doctor, and somebody is a laborer. So all of these things we see. Who decides who will be what, right? So we see, by birth itself, some disparity exists. And of course, through one's own actions, again, things change. So there is someone who is actually supervising all the activities. And, destiny is determined based on that. So we call that, law of karma, right? So there are natural laws like that. Who decides? Yeah. So we choose certain things. For example, in our life, we can choose our education, the job we do, the spouse we have, the car we have, the apartment we rent or purchase. But there are many things we don't choose. But who is responsible for the choice? Let's see what are those. We cannot choose our parents. We just come, right? We cannot choose our face shape or face cut, or we cannot choose our intelligence. We know there are people who are more intelligent or less intelligent. So we didn't choose. And who chooses for us, and on what basis is it chosen? Is it all mere chance? Right? We can ask all those questions. Yeah. So based on what we learned so far, in the world of matter, we see, laws of physics, laws of chemistry, laws of thermodynamics, which all follow well-defined laws, as if to very, precisely. So how can then the birth, beauty, intelligence can be random events? One can ask like that, right? So there must be some laws behind this as well. So it's called a law of karma. So there is this Bhagavatam sloka that says, Karmana daiva netrena jantu deho papattaye sriya pravishya udaram umsoreta kanashraya. Which means, so based on one's, by the supervision of divine eye, right, daiva netrena, so one's position in this world is determined, right? Based on one's actions, right? One takes birth in specific bodies. Yeah, based on one's own result of work under the supervision of Supreme Lord, the soul is awarded a new body. Yeah. So flawless laws in this existence imply there is a flawless, lawmaker behind it. Yeah. Now, yeah. So here are some quotes from great scientists. These are all very, very well-known scientists. You can see this is a quote from Albert Einstein. The Lord God is subtle, but malicious is not. Right? So like that, there are many quotes. Yeah, this is a quote from Schrödinger, a very famous scientist. He's a Nobel laureate physicist. Yeah, he's talking about the experiences that humans go through and how, it's all, magnificent creation of God. We all know Lord Kelvin, very famous. Yeah. So here is Newton, Sir Isaac Newton. He's a very, God-believing scientist, great scientist of, 16th century. So one time, Newton has invited one of his friend, who is also a scientist. So that scientist friend, is a non-believer of God. He doesn't believe in the existence of God. So he invited him, and he made a model of this universe. You can see the picture here. So that model, where there is a solar, there is sun in the center, and there are other planets that are, moving around. He showed this model to his friend when he came for the dinner. The friend said, "Who made this? This is a beautiful solar system in miniature." Then Isaac Newton said, "Oh, it just came by chance. I didn't make it. Nobody made it." Then his friend said, "No, don't say that, Newton. How can it come by chance? It must be, it is so well organized. There is a precise movement of these planets around the sun. So it must be made by someone." Then Newton asked, "Okay, so this mere toy system that, one second. This mere toy system that you see here is made, you're saying that it is made by a human being. Then how is it that the entire cosmos that you see with all these 9 beautiful planetary systems, how is that made by chance? You believe that it just comes out of chance. It has no harmony, right? You believe that there's no person behind it. If you believe this simple model has a person behind it, how do you believe that this entire cosmos has no person behind it? There's no intelligence behind it." Then his friend actually acknowledged and accepted the fact that yes, there must be a great brain behind all of this existence. So he made this quote: "This most beautiful system of sun, planets, and comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. This being governs all things, not as the soul of the world, but but as Lord overall, and on account of his dominion, he is to be called Lord God, the universal ruler. This is the quote from Isaac Newton. Yeah, so there are many. Max Born, another famous scientist. This is Srinivas Ramanujan. An equation for me has no meaning unless it represents a thought of God. He's a great, one of the most brilliant mathematician that ever existed. Yeah, Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Faraday, another great scientist. So we can see all the greatest of all scientists are all believers of God. Now, couple of questions after. Oops. Okay. So what is the origin of universe? Is it Big Bang or intelligent design, chance? What do you think is the answer? We can clearly see from all of what we have seen so far, it's not Big Bang, it's not a mere accident that created this universe. There is a clear intelligent design behind all of this. Yeah. So what is the purpose of knowing all of this? What is the purpose of understanding this universe? Right? So the real purpose of knowing all of this is, all the existence is to understand and God and life. Why should we even understand about this? It is mainly to help yourself to become purified of your the unwanted things in your own life. For example, we all know about lust, anger, greed. These are three prominent viruses in everybody's mind. What is lust? Lust means adamant desire for something prohibited, right? For example, Ravana is adamant to gain Sita, right? For example, a child is adamant to gain the chocolate or get the chocolate. So that is lust. These are all unwanted things. Anger, for example, when we desire something and we don't get it, we become angry at it, right? So that is another unwanted thing. In life, you can't get everything you want. Greed is another bad characteristic, right? Greedy means the person who I want everything, I want more and more, right? There is no limit to his desire. So these animalistic urges, right, always pushing in our heart, that's taking our peace away from our life. So when lust is not satisfied, it becomes anger, right? When lust is satisfied, you think you'll be happy? No, actually it turns into greed. You want more. So that adamant desire to gain things in this world is neither good when it is satisfied or not satisfied, right? Will the child be happy when mother gives one chocolate? No, you want more. You want more and more. So these three things can be eliminated when we are on this beautiful path of understanding God and developing higher understanding about life, right? So this understanding will help resolve some of these issues in our own personal life. Yeah. So these are all the questions we get answers to. So everything we see in this existence has a clear purpose, and there is a person behind everything. So this is further knowledge about this. So have you ever seen a complicated mission which came just by chance, like a printer or a computer, right? Came by chance and has no purpose. This is the theory behind Big Bang theory. Everything happened by chance. They say that, but After seeing all the, slides so far, can we accept such foolish ideas? So any mission, computer, building, or pen, everything has a designer behind it, right? So logically, the far more complex and awesome universe must have a super intelligent designer and producer behind it. Yeah. So what about the big brain? There is no designer behind it, right? Yeah. So this is the theory of Big Bang, right? So everything began from a point of infinite temperature, infinite density, infinitesimal size that is physically indescribable, mathematically unverifiable, beyond all conception of space and time. This is the definition they give. This is, that's why it's called a theory, Big Bang theory. Nobody has proven it. And it has so many assumptions, right? So far, this is what Encyclopedia of Britannica says. It should be emphasized that no theory of origin of solar system has as yet won general acceptance. All involve highly improbable assumptions. Right? There are so many assumptions made. So everybody, scientists, some scientists want to explain without the, including the factor of God, right? So, but it all has so many assumptions in those ideas. Yeah. So now we discussed all of this. So now some activity will, compare between a government and a universal government. A country of, every country has a government, right? That determines, the life, how the citizen should get various facilities. So let's see how things compare between a universal, government versus a government of a country. You see, in a national government like a country like India, for example, it has this home ministry, health ministry, ministry of energy, right? Finance ministry, defense ministry, education ministry. Now, in the universal government also, there are home ministry. For example, somebody does illicit sex, he will get AIDS. There is a punishment for it. Somebody does smoking, there is a punishment for it through the disease called cancer. Somebody does drinking, then he will get into liver problem. So just like home ministry has law and order and punishment given to the people who do not abide by the law, in the universal government also there are laws that govern the life based on one's actions. So just like health ministry exists in national government to protect the health of the citizens, in the universal government also there are Ayurvedic herbs that are naturally available around us that will protect us. So similarly, there is Ministry of Energy, right? There is electricity and lightning. In the universal government, it's so beautifully arranged. God fixed one light called sun. He is there 12 hours a day, every single day, no matter what. Right? One bulb is fixed in the cosmos, and we get lifetime of light every single day. And because in the evening we are tired and we need to sleep, there is a bed light also arranged. And what is the bed light? It's called moon. Right? If the whole day and night is full of sunlight, we can't take good rest. But there is a good arrangement of moonlight so that we can happily sleep in the night. Right? So it's just like a bed light. So we can see nature's arrangement for energy. Similarly, there is finance ministry that manages wealth. In the universal government, also there are the precious elements like gold, silver, navaratnas, and diamonds, right? That are naturally available. So in the national government, we see defense ministry. People, for example, there is naval force, there is air force, the various battalions to protect the citizens. In the universal government also, there is natural protection like ozonosphere. The immunity in body protects you from all kinds of, attacks or diseases. Yeah. So there is education ministry in the national government where there is facility for, people to be educated. Similarly, in the universal government, there is these wonderful wisdom books called Vedas, Bible, and Quran to learn about the purpose of existence and the source behind all the existence and fulfill the purpose of life. So you can see all of these things naturally exist in the universal government. So when we see a government, what we can learn from all of this activity, when there is a government, there is a president behind the government, there are ministers behind the government. There has to be a person running behind the government. Otherwise, how can things be so organized into various ministries and various facilities, right? Tax collection and facility provisioning, all these things. How can that happen? So behind the government, there is a prime minister. Similarly, behind the universal government, there is a God. How can that happen without the existence of a superpower? Yeah. Just like a prime minister maintains and controls the country, Lord controls and maintains the entire universe. Yeah. So just like law abiders live happily and lawbreakers will be punished, God's law abiders live happily in this world, and lawbreakers suffer. So it is tantamount that we all learn about how to lead our life by following God's law, right? To lead a very peaceful and purposeful life in this world. So there is this beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita in 7th chapter. Mattah partaram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre manigana eva. It means, O Arjuna, everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a necklace. If you see a pearl necklace, you only see pearls. You don't see the thread that is binding all these pearls, right? But as soon as the thread is taken away, the pearls just fall off. There is no orderly maintenance of the pearls. All these pearls exist in a proper order and structure only because there is a thread underneath all of that. So similarly, everything rests upon me, Lord Krishna says, right? So we can clearly see how Lord Krishna is the source behind everything that exists in this existence. Now, having learned all of this, so what should be our prime duty? So we should use our intelligence to appreciate the great creation of God. This is exactly originally all the universities in the West, like the Princeton University or whatever you take, the great universities which have started hundreds of years ago, all of them have been created with actually they were all created originally by churches. Why they created? Mainly to understand more and more about the intelligence behind the existence and creation. To unfold mysteries of God's creation through science to glorify God. For example, there is a great scientist called Jagadish Chandra Bose, who proved that plants have life. Before that, scientists never know the fact that plants also have life. Yeah. So similarly, we can prove there are so many Vedic truths, and we can, using our intelligence, we can, through scientific research and study, we can actually bring those truths to world, prove them scientifically, right? For example, in the last session, we saw Ian Stevenson, he proved about the reincarnation, right, as a fact. So we can take Vedic knowledge as facts and work backwards to prove actually there are truths, because Vedic truths are like aphorisms. And use everything that exists. For example, today we are using our technology, Zoom, or say, a Mac laptop, MacBook I have right now, which I'm using to, discuss the knowledge of Gita, right? Bhagavad Gita. So we can use this knowledge in this way. We can use our time and intelligence in this way. Yeah. So another prime duty is to understand and explain the purpose of Lord's creation, right? Ultimately, to love God and love everybody. If you want to love everybody, it all begins with, loving God first. And to utilize everything for the pleasure of God and welfare of all, right? So everything exists with purpose. That's what we learned in this, right? So everything happens in this world, not by chance, but with a clear purpose. Teaching us, if we make some mistakes, we should treat that as an opportunity to learn, right? So utilize everything for the pleasure of God and welfare of all. Yeah. So overall, I think we are going to conclude the session now. So we discussed through our observation how we can see that there is a creator behind creation, there is an artist behind artistry. A, B, C, D, E, F, we discussed all these things. How there is a lawmaker behind laws, energetic behind energy, designer behind design, creator behind creation. Any organization has, any beautiful organization has an organizer. So all of this implies there is a great brain intelligence behind everything that we see in nature. And through scientific observation, how various laws exist, we have seen, right? So we went through a couple of questions about the purpose of existence. And we compared, as part of activity, national government and a comparative relation to universal government, where various departments exist. That also clearly is a design. Yeah. And then we learned about our prime duty. So this is in summary mind map. If you have any questions, we can discuss now. So this is the team behind who created these beautiful PowerPoints. Yeah. So now we can take some questions if you have.
I think this is very beautifully and scientifically structured session.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhuji, this was a very good session. I mean, we covered a lot of examples, right? That needs to be, like more like a thoughtful questions to really think of. And there is a creation behind everything, right? So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So very thought-provoking session. So in the next session, we learn more concepts like this. I think next session is, we'll understand about laws behind the nature. That's the topic. So, yeah.
So anybody has any question or any thoughts to be shared?
So how do you all like this session? Do you have any questions or suggestions or, your own observations? Everyone is silent. Either everything is understood or nothing was understood.
Guruji, I have a question.
Yeah.
You basically said that we are making assumptions about the fact that Big Bang theory might be true, but at the end of the day, it's just a theory, right?
Yeah.
So isn't also the belief that the creation of the universe was an act of God also just a theory, and we still don't know for a fact that it has been proven yet, right? So how do we reconcile with the fact that both of them?
Hmm.
How do we know that which one is actually the real truth without just
Mhm.
going with blind belief?
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, just through observation, we could clearly see there is some intelligence behind, whether you call it God or not for now. So there is some superior intelligence. That is very clear, right? Now, how can this complex structure of I could be formed out of mere chance? So that fact, it's easy through basic observation or through study of natural laws, we can understand clearly there is some brain behind all of this that we cannot deny. That should be understandable, right, from whatever we discussed so far. Now, exactly how that exists, there are limits to our science. For example, what you can see is certain range of frequency. What you can hear is a range of frequency. There are limitations in what we can learn through scientific observation and experimentation. Okay, there are ways to learn certain facts through our own experience. So it's called experiential learning. So now we take this as a fact based on our observation and accept it, and do some spiritual practices which will make us learn through experience, called spiritual experiential learning. So right now, just accept it as a fact based on simple based on logic. But as you practice spirituality, all these things that you're accepting as a logical truth will become a concrete, realistic truth. Not everything is learned just through only scientific observation, because our body has certain limits. So not everything that is subtle and spiritual can be understood or digested or realized through scientific study only. So these facts through spiritual practices will become more revealed over a period of time. Okay, so for now, yeah, accept it as for example, we accept square root of -1 as a as a fact, and then we do math, and at a later age we understand that why we actually accepted the truth as a fact. But if you don't make a move, we don't progress in mathematics. So similarly, we accept for now this fact, and through spiritual practice we get the realization of all of these facts. That's a different department called spiritual science. So we need to, until we practice yoga, these are all intellectual truths. These are not digested truths at a spiritual level.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Guruji.
Yeah. Thank you, Arjun. Any other questions? Wonderful. Happy to have you all in this session, and let's continue the journey next week. Thank you for joining, each of you, by taking your time. We are very, very happy to have you. Divya, Arjun, Nirupama, Uma, thank you all for joining today. So we see you next week. Next week will be in-person class in Seattle. If you can join, that will be great. We would like to really have you all in person.
Thank you, Prabhuji. There will be Zoom session also, right?
There will be Zoom session also. I know you are a little aware.
Yeah, I cannot come. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Mithun Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
yeah.
Krishna.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
We'll meet you
Hare
next week. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.